bet you weren't expecting this. I know that it's so many different points. I am expressing the completion of this series, and for real, this time it is complete. It's always complete. This journey has been remarkable, but I would be remiss to not give the message that's been on my heart that really affirms the clarity of this time, the clarity of what exactly we were just experiencing, where exactly you were on this ascension path, what exactly the bigger and the smaller experiences that you would go through in the day-to-day were really indicative of, and most importantly, a big fat fucking congratulations to you. Because to have started this series in any way, whether you are someone that I hold dear to myself in my heart, or a new connection that I've made in which somehow, one way or another, like I intuitively knew that this space could really support your walk. Whether you are a creator of your own life or you don't feel that way at all about yourself and you found yourself in this space, like to have arrived at aligning to this sort of sustainability, really, like these messages aren't going to change. These messages, while you can kind of float above some of like maybe astrological transits that I'm mentioning just based on like where I was when I had recorded the video, all of these messages have been so geared towards giving you and ensuring you that the friend and the confidant that you have in your inner voice will never waver, will be of sound judgment through every phase of your life. And I have had such a pleasure and a relief and a joy reconnecting with the timeless wisdom that my inner voice really provides. And that's all I hope that this space reflects to you. That's all I hope that it carves out some time for you to start to see and develop within yourself. But for starters, I really want to say, like, we have proven the connection that we have to ourselves, the inner self, the expanded self, and how they are really truly your guide, as they know you don't have anything other than this sort of linear perspective of like what we see around us or what the circumstance might be right now. You know, like for me, today is April 1st of 2023, right? And it's another day that Bryn is due, and there's all of these things that I'm walking right at in this dimension, that my higher self is aware, that I perceive that kind of oncoming linear reality, and they meet me tenfold with the unwavering love. So I hope that I really just want to get into some tarot. I want to really read today. I feel like that's how I've been feeling, and of course I kind of was cleaning up today and I was really taking charge of my life, and the Venetian tarot deck was like falling out of my like nightstand, and I was like, oh my god, you know, we need the Venetian tarot when we want to see clearly, when we want revelation. And of course at the bottom of the deck, this is a pre-shuffle message I was getting earlier, but this idea of justice, and justice really just is, it's not a favored outcome. It's not, we don't hope for justice that sways to what we really want. What we want, justice that reveals, justice that parallels what the revelation is, what really is there. And I think in this moment there can be, you know, endings and cycles that are closing out, where you're kind of left with the awareness of like what was really there, which can be really, really supportive and should always be really supportive, because anytime we're set free by knowing what was really there. And for me right now, it's also specifically like really loving myself and supporting myself, because I believed in what I was thinking and seeing was really there, and started to act from that space, even if it wasn't like, even if like, you know, someone third dimensionally is able to hide behind an illusion of really being beneficial to me. And I would then get guidance from my inner self saying like, hey, like you need to start preparing and making futures and opportunities and planting seeds for yourself that will really be prepared for this to not be there anymore. And it may not have ever been like true. It'd be like, what? Like this seems to be really, if nothing else, expressing that it's for me and supports me, but my higher guidance is telling me to make preparations in other ways. So when justice really strikes, right, when we talk about the conclusion of that 6 year, and we're in this new astrological year, it becomes really important, right? When we start talking about year sevens, like we're going to really see what the balance of the duration of that year was. And then you're also going to come into union with things that just are like new friendships or connections, which are, in hindsight, if you actually look at like what you're connecting with, it's like dreamlike. But the way that it feels is like this person being around me just feels like it just is, which is exactly how I would describe total compatibility, total alignment. It's really, really taking a very fine-tooth comb to the illusion, to the mask, to the performance that we really put on, even for people that we really think we should really like. There is no should. There is no, oh, I should like someone like this, or I should reach to find a connection with someone like this. It really just is. So we're getting sweet, sweet justice at this time. I mean, sweet, sweet justice. And then here we are talking about the moon cycles. We're talking about the new astrological year. We're talking about once we completed the complete year 6 astrological year, what justice are we going to become? Because in the end, it wasn't like you go on this journey to become a better person. You go on this journey to become a truer person. And that is the reality, right? And that is the nature of things. And so today I was really psychically intuiting a tower moment, a big tower moment that and not a tower moment because I'm like, I'm trying to manifest a tower moment for this space I'm in, or for someone else, or for something that's like that I'm experiencing or that I'm a part of. But more so, it was always a tower moment, right? Like when I think about some of the transitions that I'm about to really make in my life, especially some of the things that I've been like really telling myself like I could find a way to really like just be there and be a part of, I have to really be honest. Like if it was always a tower, then when the tower comes at this time, it isn't. It just is. It's not even surprising. It's not even shocking. It's not even anything. That's not what the tower is meant to be. It's just, if that's what the nature of it has always been, it's the identification of like, do I want to continue to have a continuous tower in my life? Something that keeps that energy. And especially at my own expense, like being someone that's, my foundation is always exploding or unstable, or due to like have changes that because the tower also anticipates like that there's a consciousness that isn't aware that a tower is coming. That's what the thing can be hard about a tower. If you know a tower is coming, it is what it is. And then we get the split again, and it's like justice is also bringing in this death. You really were that death energy, where you were really just there to transform. So again, in one of my videos, I think it was the I got married video, and then the Aquarius video, I've really talked about how spirit had us in the very recent like period grouped in a boat with like what may have seemed like a lot of karmics, a lot of past energy, things that you may have already healed, familiar faces, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So you may have gotten put back in the boat. And again, when we're talking about surviving and being offered and allowed to go to the new world, like everybody can go to the new world if you're here still. So when we're in the boat from one sort of energetic plate to a new energetic plate that only connects via this vast underground ocean, right, that God is like putting us all in the boat in. So while we're in the boat with all of these other energies, there was this really big need to spend that time, one, transforming, which was the guidance that I really clearly heard, which was like, and this is the beauty of the universe. When you become so conscious, certain things don't change. Like you don't have to judge yourself if you're like, wow, I joined a job that really ended really quick, or like I used to really experience that, where like if I had a job that I was at for less than a year and now I'm at another job, and I used to really judge myself for like Uranian principles. And it's more so not necessarily, like sometimes it's necessary to need a tower energy to really be the catalyst for change, right? If you need to change, or if you need to transform something, or something's unstable or not built on a solid foundation, and you're really desiring for a solid foundation, you can manifest tower energy. But the beautiful thing about this consciousness journey is that when you approach a tower, the only thing that sucks about a tower is if you don't know it's a tower. So the beautiful thing about this consciousness journey is it doesn't keep you from tower moments in your life. It's just gonna get like, let the hat be out of the bag. But what it does keep you from is you are able to say, if I'm participating in a tower, I was conscious that this was a tower the whole time. I was able to identify that there was never stability, which is why this is where you get this natural immunity with this spiritual walk, with this understanding, and really making your relationship with your inner dialogue, your inner voice, and your higher self the most comfortable, confident, connected, frequent relationship that you revisit. Because the reality is, the better friends you are with that inner voice, which is really what you see here, because the art of this installation, the art of Virgo Saint North Node, is you watch someone befriend that voice. So even if you got nothing out of the channeled messages or the synchronicities that are in front of you or whatever, that everyone can objectively be in the space, even if they aren't resonating at having been or done enough work to even enact this journey, right? And I'm not saying that this journey is a certain goal, but you do have to put in work in order to activate this journey. Because, right, we talk about you have to choose your inner voice. You have to choose yourself. Because when we talk about this universe, the answer is yes. Everything is really always working out for you because of the nature of why you're even here. Like, you choose to reincarnate into this planet. You've been summoned onto this planet because you've been waiting to come into this planet. That's why you got summoned through a sex ritual to birth through this portal, right? So everything is really yes. And God, source energy, equips you with this inner dialogue, which has the higher vision. It's the eternal version of you. It's not the flesh. It's not the black woman you see on the screen right now. It's the other thing. It's the thing that makes this flesh suit move independently. That thing is eternal. That thing is all-seeing. That thing has come into this finite form to experience a tethered experience on earth and dance into the joy and delight of pretty much only earth visions that you can see by being in this body. But at the same time, 1111, it also has the ability to make sure that it is guiding you directly to the yes. So one thing that we've also want to reduce at this time is we can immediately stop and terminate certain old cycles very quickly, right? Because I'm also going to put you onto some other game. If it feels bad, stop. If it feels bad, stop. If it feels bad, stop. If it feels bad to think it, if it feels bad to say it, if it feels bad to hang around these people, if it feels bad to work in the situation, this is what I'm talking about. Some people have become so numb because so much of the age of Pisces was this numbing agent. It's this Neptunian, like, it doesn't matter. It's the spiritual bypassing, which is the lower vibrations. And because the earth was in a lower density, when you think about the lower aspects of Pisces, and I have a Pisces South node, so I could really connect with where the world was coming from and where it's going, right? And so when we really talk about how much, rather than Pisces, Aquarius gives you an answer. It's going to give you a solution, right? Because Aquarius is scientific hypothesis. It is, here's my hypothesis, here's my thesis, here's my methodology, here are my results, and here is my conclusion. You will always get that guarantee from Aquarius. It will always be complete. Because it is the whole vision, that, right? It's like the whole world. It's the whole composite 11th house. It's all of us. It's the collective, right? And so with the age of Pisces, when we got so focused on how we can numb versus answer, conclude, complete, right? These things, Pisces is a never-ending dance. Pisces can also spiritually bypass because nothing really matters, because we all are one and we all are in the soup. And from that well, you can pull from this really high vibrational, the highest vibration, right? Pisces really can be the highest vibration. It's the composite, right? But during the age of Pisces, we did see a lot of like that preference to numb rather than to address. I mean, and then to an Aquarius, numbing is kind of like, what's the point of doing that? You know what I mean? Just seems like more time. So this is where we're kind of, whereas also you might be seeing yourself connected to organizations, to friends, to family members, to people around you, or you might just be witnessing this where there's a divide in like what line in the sand people really want to stand. And so you might see people who really like moved from a place of like, the only thing that they're ever prepared to do is numb. So they could go out, create their life, and that could be good, bad, happy, sad experiences. But then no matter what it is, all they really know and are prepared and equipped for based on the just flowing and resistance that they experienced in the last age is to numb it, right? And so when you're someone who's like, okay, I don't want to numb when it comes to like my career advancement, or when it comes to my maturation, or when it comes to my love, or when it comes to my relationships with those closest to me, when it comes to my health and well-being, I don't really need to numb because that's not really so there was also that kind of feeling like people just trying to get you to mask it or dampen it, or just be okay with really just the avoidance of it, right? Because numbing is just doing something else. Numbing is just acknowledging what it is, but then also just doing something else that will just keep that awareness at bay. Well, that's what it is, but I am refusing to really step towards what would bring on the next evolution of this, right? And so we are at a very pivotal crux where we're talking about it's either to evolve or not to evolve. And the reality of the nature of this universe is that everything is actually always evolving. But again, this tethered experience on Earth gives us things like retrogrades, which don't really happen but do come from a perspective, moon phases and cycles, and the moon's power actually doesn't really change because the moon is technically always a full moon. It's not always fully illuminated, which actually means the moon cycles have a lot more to do with the sun and its need to give of that. To balance out the sun, there has to be a moon because the sun can't just be the sole dispositor. So the sun, Leo energy, really learns through giving and funneling its light to illuminate something else just as beautiful and just as powerful and just as grandeur, right? Because yes, the sun gives all life, but the moon like keeps us from fucking burning alive. The moon keeps us, fills in all the color. You know what I mean? And so this is what I mean. Is this energy where also I almost hear like your departure, your exit, or your like lifespan or your story, because something, right? There's an old energy. You are a sage, like meaning you are an elder in this last cycle. So your walk with that guiding light, with it, this is that inner voice we were just talking about at the top of this video. You and the relationship you have with your inner voice are like gonna head right into the darkness, and it's going to grab the attention of literally everyone that's in your vicinity, literally everyone. And you are doing this because you know exactly that in the void, in the darkness, in the saying no to the bondage, in the I don't need this job, I don't need this old friend, I don't need this family dynamic, I don't need this housing situation, I don't need this instability, I don't need this personal relationship, I don't need any of this old cycle anymore now that I've gotten what I've needed. And then we get this sort of double ace. It's in that. It is in walking straight into the literal darkness. And with the light that's been developed through this friendship with your inner voice, the deepest relationship you have when you're walking out is that of your inner voice and what it has to tell you. So as you're walking out, I just feel like everybody's head will turn when it comes to looking at and witnessing what it is that you're doing. Sorry, I just saw an energy in there. So let's get some cards and just kind of hear some spirit. What is clearly illuminated at this time? I mean, it's really the victory. What is clearly illuminated this time? 1717 is what I just saw. So like big double star energy. What is clearly illuminated at this time? And yesterday I pulled the High Priestess, which is the second card of the Major Arcana, and I pulled the Star card together out at the same time, which is the 17th card. So 2 times 17, right? Which is this idea that like the most authentic version of you and your inner voice are completely on display, are completely owning this. And that's what I think this victory has to do with. And again, this lunar cycle, just know you're deeply synced up with the moon. Know that the next full moon is on the 5th and 6th. Know that by the 5th and 6th, this is how you will be experiencing life. Free, hold, like celebration. Like, it's like I'm almost, now they're showing me like a model, like, you know, when a model's like, oh, after a photo shoot, I love to go eat a burger. Okay, that's kind of the vibe. It's like after like having to hold and maybe be prepared and take the photos and do the thing and play the role. It's how you, why we want to throw something up in the air, why we want to feel the freedom when we graduate from a school and you throw your hat up in the air and your diploma, and it's a freedom. This is the certain energy right now, which is that it doesn't matter what you think is going on third dimensionally. This is what spirit is literally telling you is happening. The clearest, strongest energy right now is that you are in the posture of being a success. Tomato fucking tomato. If it's today versus tomorrow versus 2 weeks from now, it doesn't even matter. And I know some people think like, oh my God, it's gonna be so unbearable because I'm not gonna have an answer for that long. No, it's not even that, because God said everything's taken care of and provided for. So don't even do all that. But the real tea here is that you can quite literally, like, if you were having to hold something, if you were like say you're in a job and you know like it's only a matter of time before like when things come in, then you're gonna make the move. Or if you're in a friendship or in a relationship that like you got this next thing and then it gives you the immediate ability to come through. Spirit is telling you today, right now, in this video at 19 minutes in, what you have the ability to do right now. Go to whatever your regular life is and just throw your bouquet up. Like, ruin the photo. Like, again, these women look like they were their bridesmaids or something, right? Like, they were just, kind of really supporting this whole vision or being told to be in a certain role. And now that that's done, regardless of whether it is revealed or not, because I'm telling you, by the next moon cycle, whether it's a new moon or full moon, regardless, by the end of the lunation cycle that you're in currently, and we're talking like a literal lunar cycle, so not even like some big, talking about the literal lunar cycle coming up, the way that the external world will match exactly what you already, because God is saying you can free yourself right now. You don't have to carry the weight. You don't have to be shackled to it. You don't have to be investing. You don't have to be moving towards things anymore that you do not want to be moving towards because they do not resonate, because you guys have been polarized to different directions. And that is huge. That kind of really inspires me for what I'm about to go do today. But let's see what this next energy is. So we're starting off with this. God is asking you, throw it up now, because again, it's King of Pentacles. You're about to get a castle. I'm not even kidding. And like, I already finished the series and I did a whole meet and greet, but you're about to get, okay. It's the financial investment, the financial, and this isn't just an investment, it's an investment, but it's a status. It is mirrored. So it is like when you see a King of Pentacles in a reading, that is what's being that's what you are. So if you're dealing with the King of Pentacles, that this King of Pentacles is coming to say, hey, I am about to gift you with the profession, with the title, with the role in your world that allows you to cultivate, bottom of the deck, to run the empire. This is the financial backing that can help you. This opportunity, financially, physically, I'm talking financially, because I know for a lot of us, this is where we're really at. But when we talk about this investment, there is a physical financial, this has to do with your money earning. Your physical financial investment, there is one investment that you know would help you do all of this. So don't you think the universe is interested in making sustainable things happen? Like, if it is the most sustainable, best thing for everybody involved, for you to receive this investment, because you are quite literally the empress, like you're ready to go cultivate a whole world. You know exactly what you need right now. You know exactly what you would do. You know exactly how you put it together. Don't you think that's coming in? So look, if you could look at what I'm seeing right now, this version of you, which is right here. We just got off the boat. I talked about that boat. We crossed to the new world. So we just docked at the new world, which is why you're feeling all this residual feeling like, ooh, I don't like y'all. And don't think, you never liked them. You never gave them more. You didn't go back on your boundaries. All you actually did was transform. I mean, you're looking at me right now. All I actually did in the last 6 months was really transform. While I was in my boat, waiting with a bunch of passengers and things and old karma, like all I was really responsible for transforming. I didn't overgive. These people don't really know anything about me. That I didn't give away any of my secrets. That's the beauty of people thinking they know you and they don't know you, is that when it's all said and done, you really will see how quickly you can just walk. When you get off the boat, you're going to immediately be dragged and attracted to where you are. So you and someone else's differences, that is not your work. That's another thing. I think there's anxiety that can be induced by thinking about how you're going to have to differentiate between okay, now that we're off the boat, I'm not like y'all. I was only in the boat. You know what I mean? I was not like y'all, and we never really connected. So that's why we're not, you know what I mean? There's just not going to be a need to do that, because that's also the universe's work. You are going to get magnetized because we live in a magnetic universe. So there's nothing to do. There's no nothing, but just know this version of you that you've just pulled up to shore was telling you right now, literally right now, at this spring, because it's a bouquet of flowers, so this is springtime, you are able to pull the bouquet and release it, let it go. You know what I mean? You can free yourself and feel the victory now, because the King of Pentacles, the investment, the thing that's going to sit you as the person at the top of the castle, because I think right now, after this journey, when you finish it, you're like, I should be at the top of my world, right, Alexis? I thought you promised that. I agree. I fucking agree. The universe agrees as well, right? That's what we see in this card. You are the empress. So the beautiful thing is, if it really is just a matter of time between when, this is where you're ready now. So you don't even have to get ready. But knowing that it's the top of an astrological year at this time, knowing that we are in this Aries primal energy that's really dominating, and that you are really and truly this. We talk about justice striking right now. When we talk about the conclusion of the year 6 as we go into year 7, right? I'm seeing 7 of Pentacles all year 7, which is investments, paying back off. I'm seeing you get the fruits of your labor year 7. Because what just is that you really were the empress. And it doesn't matter how people, whether they want to acknowledge it one day, be super moody the next day, really see it one day, gaslight the shit out of the next day. guess what doesn't really change? And I know we're humans, and I know I'm human, so I feel all the emotions. Like some days, some people can come in and throw me the fuck off with their energy. And then I'm just like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, I have to really remember that literally never changed my value. That literally never changed what I was focused on, which was my transformation. The beautiful thing is this time around when I was grouped on the boat, I didn't do the same things I've done previously at lower consciousness. I didn't actually give them all of me. I learned to discern, and my Virgo Saint North Node saved my ass because I am about to cash out motherfucking big. If my fucking creator is telling me right now, which I'm telling you, like, I don't even know where rent's coming from. I'm telling you, there are certain things that I'm like, God, really? Like, I don't know where it's coming from. If my creator is giving me this direct guidance right now on camera where I could be totally embarrassing myself, let me tell you, it's because of this channel alone, because I embraced the balance, because your North Node isn't anything. It's not that Virgo energy is the superior energy and that's why you all are here because you're trying to be more Virgo. No. My North Node is literally in Virgo, in the 5th house, meaning like I really have to discriminate and allow myself to take center stage. Because not even just allow myself to, I'm going to be put on center stage. So if I'm going to be on center stage, like I really can't give everybody everything, because a lot of these people were temporary. A lot of these jobs, these situations, these places where you were guiding yourself or going against the flow or moving yourself directly out of some things, which therefore was causing all these other extra cycles to populate in between. Like we were getting it all aligned because you're asking for a really big thing. This is the keys to the castle, and that because you run the empire. Like, you gotta live in the highest story in the motherfucking empire if you're really the empress, you know what I mean? I mean, this is a role coming in that puts you in a place where, like, you don't have, like, you can feel victory all the time. And I think that's one thing. I woke up with Dennis and we were all frustrated this morning. We were crying because we were just like, we are so clear on the fact that we deserve we don't desire anything right now, which is really difficult. So we are really, really aware, like, we cannot compromise our needs for other bullshit. Like, it doesn't matter if the job isn't paying us adequately. You have to pay people what they're worth. This is also part of that turnover to the age of the Aquarian. The meek are inheriting the earth because they're the ones really tending to the earth, right? They're not removing themselves from the work. That's the other big thing, is getting the dream isn't just tapping out. The people whose dreams are coming true right now are the people who want to do the work. I am not about to get gifted like time to just sleep. I don't want to just sleep or be, no. My dream is to go. My dream right now is to move. My dream is to connect with as many people that are meant to be on my path as possible. My dream is to go and work the things and get to work because there are things to do. There is impact to impart. And right now, when I tell you I couldn't make a lot of impact while Saturn was in Aquarius in my ego or in my external identity. I've got a 10th house, right? I have a 10th house sun, right? I have a 9th house stellium, but my sun is one of the only placements that I have that's in the 10th house. So when Saturn went into Aquarius, there were certain things that were shut off. There were certain things that to turn me into the diamond that I needed to be, I had to get to the work, which meant God was not going to let any of my reputation get me anything in the last 3 years. So that's where I really came to this channel, where it was like, okay, let's make a reputation list. Like, I still wanted to do my work, and I did. And y'all don't know who I am. Like, you know, there's like, there may be, I don't, like, I'm not pushing this out, so I hope that there's not too many, like, just random energies. But people did, like, while this was being filmed, nobody really, like, the audience here really doesn't get that much else from me other than what you need to know in order to follow this journey. And so this is what I really mean when I say, like, this role finally, like, sometimes it's planetary because I am now at a place where, like, I am 1,000% sure of exactly who I am. I have absolutely the keys to run an entire empire. And if it's something as short as just being given a role, getting a certain amount of money, blah, 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 that you're owed, accruing enough input that, like, it's time, like, I've given out everything I have, so it, like, the only logical next step is for it to all come back to me in equal balance, not more, not less. I've just given a lot. So if you see yourself feeling like you're getting a lot back, because the King of Pentacles is the big thing to get, but the King of Pentacles is trying to be the one that's telling you right now, just be happy. There's nothing to even be sad about. Like, literally nothing to even be sad about. Like, just look at that, and it's never going to be the same again. Just start celebrating now, because quite literally this is what's coming in. And the King of Pentacles is not an easy, this is the entire Pentacle suit that is the top of the entire, is the embodiment. That is a very Aquarian place to be standing. In terms of the king position, is very Aquarian in terms of, like, it's, you'd have to have the composite starting from the Ace of Pentacles all the way up into really learning and mastering that suit. And so this coming into you is because I'm hearing your really real grounded experience is enough, is more than enough, is leading the pack, is puts you as an emperor, shows that you can cultivate and create anything, shows that you're not afraid to move, shows that you're not afraid to adjust, shows that you really have what it takes to like utilize these resources where they need to be, because they can see the goal. Mary Chan, this is a channel, but I'm seeing that they can see the golden thread and why you were doing what you're doing. And it just takes the right people. It just takes the things that are actually vibrating with you. The only reason there's all this confusion is because that's not love. God is not confusion. God is love. So if you're in a space where it's just like everything is confusing, how people feel about you confuses you, how they see your life confuses you, what they think you do confuses you, the roles they decide to put you in confuse you, like, oh my God, it's like all of that emotion, right? And I was just channeling the confusion. It's just like feeling like you're juggling, and like this is magnificent to be on this slack line, also juggling that far off the ground, and to minimize yourself by just putting yourself over here instead of finding a way to expose what you're really good at, which is juggling two realities, because that's what you were doing. You were bringing and assisting and getting people on the boat to go to the new paradigm. You were trying with all of your heart to do that, and just know that when Judgment Day and Justice really strains, I mean, that's what it is. It's what it was, so that's what you're going to get back. That's what it is, right? When we talk about like, there's not a big mystery. Whatever just happened needs to be accounted for, and that's really what we made the basis of our justice system on. But in the midst of 3113, in the midst of you feeling and understanding, like, while you were understanding why things were making you so confused in the Two of Pentacles, like, you realized that you mastered a fucking crazy skill. You mastered a fucking crazy skill, which is to be able to juggle and balance and make all of this cohesively make sense to put yourself into a new opportunity. And here's the new opportunity. The new opportunity is coming into you, is sending a dove that has a note. So this may be an email, this may be a text, this may be a conversation. It's going to come to you and it's going to say, what we liked about you, what you thought was your biggest insecurity is what I'm hearing. You thought, like, I've juggled so much, I've struggled so much, nobody is going to be interested or care or even see, like, it doesn't make sense, because you felt so not at will, right? Like, at different times in your life, like, it felt like, God, I'm not really choosing any of this. I just like ended up having to work here because of the circumstance. But the reality was you were being guided. You were walking to all of that stuff, whether you felt like you were fully conscious or not, right? The subconscious is just as charted as the conscious reality. Both of those are calculated spaces, formulaic spaces. And so whether or not you were where you really felt like you were leaning towards in terms of the pole, when this message comes in, it's a dove of peace. It's a peace dove. And what would bring you to peace right now? Because the thing that makes you not feel peaceful right now, like the first of the month, especially in the last few months when I've just been like, what the fuck, God, is going on? The things that have not made me feel peaceful have been feeling like, I don't deserve, though, that like I am not mad at my journey, but my journey was and third dimensionally, like, it really could also not make sense, and I didn't want it to not make sense enough to where like I will never be able to fit back into like society in terms of like getting a job, because God has moved me like at so many different points, and like trying to make sense of like, well, why was I here for this long, and why did you end up going here, and why were you in the city, and why were you right? Like, I was so afraid of that, like, but they actually see you as someone who's highly skilled, someone who's like, well, yeah, you're living your life, and we're able to see, because we're intellectuals, because we're aligned, we're able to see that this actually just shows someone's fucking badassery, not that someone's like lame or just like, oh wow, really do keep your day job. Like, no, this is someone this is the pulp of who they are. Like, if they were ever to be rich, it would be because of what they know how to do, and if what they know how to do is juggle and walk on the slack line at the same time, then what's the real difference between the reality where they aren't getting resources for that and the reality where they are, right? Nothing. So you chose to cultivate. You chose, no matter how much nonsensical energy you felt you were festering in when you were so just like, oh my God, I feel like I was unable. Know that sometimes it's transitory. So for me, it was literally Saturn making sure that like I get really good, because there's so much fake energy. Like, age of Pisces, everybody, you could get things without really being it. Meaning you could get famous without actually having star energy or having had to cultivate anything that actually makes you any different than anybody else. And you could just put up a bunch of veils of illusion, because we were living in the age where the veil was the thing we were focused on. Like, let's make the illusion, and that's healthy. That's just, there's nothing wrong with the age of Pisces. That's a different assignment though than the age of Aquarius, because the age of Pisces is like, let's see how many illusions we make. Let's see how much we can distort reality, right? For people, the age of the Aquarian might become much more sobering to people, because it's not about reality distortion, or the amount of like layers we can put between like he's the CEO, so feel really crazy when you're around him, versus like not feeling anything at all, because that's just the role that's just the job he has. But in terms of like whether that's a good person, a bad person, a happy person, a sad person, that doesn't really mean anything, right? So the age of the Aquarian can be sobering, because we're now really focusing on like, okay, what are you really though? Because Aquarius just wants to know. So what is it? So we're just getting now we're not focused on like what we don't want to know, or how we want to fucking obscure what it is, and how we can manipulate it and change our bodies and our appearances and modify and make things trending and make all these really, right? When we're focusing on that level of exploration, the balance always comes. We can't fuck the planet up in any age enough. Because at some point, some people might say like, okay, age of the Aquarian, like we know. So it's always going to be about balancing. And the new age that we go into is just the medicine that keeps us at that even, right? And it's not about duality. It's just about neutrality. But the age that we're walking in is, what is the truth? So also know that you're getting caught by the age of the Aquarian, because what is the truth of this? So it's not about whether it's confusing. It's they're just judging you like, well, she like for example, for me, like when I think about my job history and how much it's been like, oh my God, they're gonna be so confused by it, because I'm thinking of Age of Pisces rhetoric, right? Which is they're gonna think I'm making up all these illusions, or they're gonna think like just it's so confusing, or I didn't get a lot of opportunities to spend a lot of time, because mind you, I graduated college in 2019. Okay, so I'm pretty much the last generation of college kids to like ever really have a maybe normal collegiate like experience in terms of like what the old world was like. College is not going to have the same quantifiable data as it did when it was applied to the age of Pisces. And then immediately after, like I had the nuance of like being in the workforce right as a global pandemic happened. So yeah, there were some kids that were still in school, but what about the kids who just got done with school and completed everything and thought like, okay, I got this whole job market to go into, and then the pandemic happens, right? So for me, I've had to grapple with what felt unfair about like I just spent how many fucking years in school consecutively, back to back to back, fucking going hard in this academia, and then there was like this warp, because it just was like I didn't know what industry I knew for a fact going into the job industry that like once the pandemic had hit and once 2020 had hit, I was like really I was very, it was this likelihood of me being at the companies that I was in beyond like 3-4 years was very slim. So there was a lot of anxiety for me about like just knowing that things were always going to be turning over, and just kind of wanting to like get off the ride and just like wait, like, you know, just wanting to like, can I just have one thing? I just don't want to be all over the place. I don't want to have to start and stop and start and stop. But the beautiful thing about the way that the paradigm and the setting is changing in the age of the Aquarian is that now what I thought would really confuse an employer as I'm trying to put my resume out there, as I'm trying to express myself in a different way, is actually not going to confuse them, because they're not looking about whether they see it clearly or confused. What they're really saying is like, what did you do though? What did you really do? You're getting this King of Pentacles role because the proof is in the pudding. You held these roles, which means you're capable of it, which means some other companies, you know, because the thing is, I had some really impressive roles, but like because of the pandemic, like certain industries like went out of business while I was working there. So like when I just started certain things relatively, you know, a job industry would like close down, you know what I mean? And so then I would just be severance, and then I'd be like kind of spit out again. And like, I tried a lot of different things. And so I would achieve a lot of these really cool positions, but then I would never really get to go anywhere, just because of the last 3 years for me since college were, or I guess almost 4 years now, were what they were. And but the beautiful thing is they're gonna just see me as the person that was, wow, she did this, she dressed well, she could slack, she could balance, she could juggle, you've done all of this, you've literally done all of this. So versus in the age of Pisces, where an employer might look at you and see you could like make yourself up or dress yourself down, or you could kind of fib about what it is, you actually speak exactly to them, because they just want to see the types of roles you've actually been able to have. Literally, that's it. And that's what they're coming to communicate to you. And that's the peace that's going to come over your heart, because you were so terrified, like, God, I'm not upset about what I went through because it brought me to where I am, but you just wanted someone to understand you. You wanted someone to look at your experience and understand, like, that's enough. And in fact, it makes you really fucking advanced. You are pretty much, they're going to see you as someone who is responsible for bringing people to the new world. And whether this is like, you could use the example of the employer, whether this is a new friend or a group of people you're coming into, an organization, something that you want a part of, but I feel like it's a role. So whether that role is as a mother or it's a role that you are being given, that God is telling you, just celebrate now. Throw the fucking, you don't have to do the shit no more. Just throw it up in the air now, because they're coming to tell you that what they're really impressed by, what they really would have been grading you on, was really all about what multitude of skills you actually have. And so whereas in the past people might have overlooked you because they're like, ooh, this looks scattered, like, you know, and you weren't trying to fib it, you weren't lying, you were just, but they kind of think you're lying because in the age of Pisces, you could also conflate things. People be like, sure, you know what I mean? But now that it's a bit more sober and dry and you really can't get past anything other than what's the real energy and the real vibration, you know that these new starts like you for you. And that is the biggest peace dove you could ever receive at your fucking window. So 40 minutes in, 2 cards down, like, I'm so obsessed, Spirit. I'm so obsessed with this message. And I do what I fucking want, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, like, the videos posted. So let's, boop. I didn't even look at that fucking shit, bro. I'm looking at y'all. Just is 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles. The justice is the 10 of Pentacles. The justice you're about to get is the 10 of Pentacles. The justice you're about to get is the 10 of Pentacles. Because it just is. Because you have... Because acquiring the 10 Pentacles, and yesterday on my walk, Dennis and I found on the ground 2 different points. Here, let me go grab them really quickly. Check out this serendipity. Dennis and I, well, Dennis really found these with his eyes. So this is a spirit message. So we're walking our normal daily walk in our neighborhood. And he finds this booty, this doubloon on the floor. And what is on the back of this? This is yesterday, right? The big day. If you can't tell, it says 10 and it's treasure chest. So it says it's the 10 Pentacles. On our way back up from our walk, because we walk all the way down a few miles and then we walk all the way back, right, to our house. On the way back, we find a second one. Dennis finds a second one on the ground. Same thing. 10 of Pentacles. Tell me this isn't the exact same vibration. Because yesterday was hard. Yesterday was intense work. Yesterday was really having to sit down and talk and discuss and just process. You just have to process, you just have to process, you just have to process because this justice is coming in. And it's 10 Pentacles. And it's happening right now. It's happening today. Like, I had to give this message out because I'm about to go on about my day, but each of us met this goal at the same time. It's unbelievable. And so the justice is the light of the truth. What the truth sheds light to. And when we actually, like, I'm so grateful for this space because I'm also someone that can really become unpresent very quickly because I'm an Aquarius. So presence is actually not that hard for me because I'm a Taurus moon in the 12th. So I can really anchor down, which is one of the things that I'm super grateful to have an Earth moon because I can really solidify and ground in. And I'm not letting anybody speak over me. I've always been able to deduce really positive, forward-thinking steps based on what I feel in the moment. And so I've been able to always bridge my future to my now moment in such a beautiful way that I know is going to be acknowledged. And that's the light of my truth right now. But there's a reason why Lady Justice is blindfolded and she's like, just got this impartiality. Like, she doesn't want to see you. She doesn't want to create a personal rapport. Put your chips on this motherfucking thing. And however it tilts is the truth. And if it tilts not in your favor, I'm slicing you with this thing. That's just what it is. But you put the King of Pentacles, so when they put you in the role, when they put you and all of your experiences in that role, take this for how it resonates, but there's a role that you know you're meant to play out in your life. When they put you, and it could be an organization, it could be the people outside of you, it could be God, but when God puts you in this role, blindly, that's what I'm saying. The only way that you'd feel like it's the 10 of Pentacles, because the 10 of Pentacles you gotta feel like you earned. We could just find these on the floor and never pick them up. But why did we pick these random, like this? I don't know whose these probably belong to, but we picked these up on our walk because we were there, because we really put in the work for a 10 of Pentacles. We really feel how much we deserve to be getting that back right now. So when they put you in the role, what balanced it? So you were so heavy, and they just kept adding a pentacle and adding a pentacle and adding a pentacle. So it was like add a pentacle, add a pentacle, add a pentacle, add a pentacle. And it got to the 10. And then that's who they were looking for. I'm getting that. The person that this role, you get this role because when it was your turn to get weighed, and they're like, all right, we got 10 pentacles. You got to be, if you want this, you got to be all 10 of our pentacles. And you are. You've done all 10 of the things that they would have wanted someone to do in order to be sure. And I'm seeing even more than what they were putting. Like maybe the prereq for this role, like you have 10 pentacles, or you are the full spectrum, which means you can go on to, when you have achieved the 10 of pentacles, when that's what your value is, they know they're going to get that out of you. They know that you are the person. And this maybe spirit knows that you are the person that they're going to get the absolute most, the maximum from. That is what an actual aligned to you energy would want. That's what they would be looking for with you, is they want to know that with you, they have the max potential. With my husband, I have the max potential. And it is proven that we literally went on a walk on the last day. It's like of March, like on the 31st, and we found these two on a spiritualized walk we had yesterday. And we knew that spirit was trying to communicate through a synchronicity that we are the people that this energy, this new timeline for us, can get the most out of. So what you're getting remagnetized to, the things that are opening up for you starting right now, are all about how your weight in gold is 10 fucking pentacles for someone. So it feels like justice, because the only reason something feels like justice is if it was true. So if you feel like I should be getting something that I'm not getting, or this should be true and it's not true thing, the justice would be like righting the balance. Nobody has to go without. Nobody's putting more in and not getting something back, and then some people not putting anything in and getting way too much. None of that. That's the only reason that it matters. If you choose to enact anything, if you choose to embark on anything as the creator of your life, you're gonna get it back. That's the promise of the universe. So the justice system, I'm also getting a side message that the justice system will also kind of, in a way, you can see it dissolve in a lot of ways, because when we talk about the reality that the justice system is something that could only exist really heavily in an age of Pisces, where there are illusions, where we say, we don't know what really happened. We don't know who murdered who, or we can't tell, or we can't figure it out. Well, when you actually have trust in the universe that if someone did something that was out of practice or out of principle, that they're getting it back, we have less need for, right? So the only reason the justice system exists as long as there's a blindfold, right? Which is what has also been indoctrinated in our country, like in the country that I live in, was this sort of blind justice, blind justice, blind justice. But we want clear justice, because then justice doesn't, like, we don't need to make a physical manifestation. Lady Justice exists, and she does this in every act. There's Metatron taking accordance of every single deed that is done. So since everything is recorded by our highest consciousness, we're going to also be revealed that, like, we are really just enacting justice, or just making spectacles or shows about, how are we going to prove this right? Who really did it? Well, God knows who really did it. So this is some other food for thoughts to be thinking about. God knows who really did it, which also might have been a side thing. Like, there were times where you thought, like, where this is like a very ascended justice. This is the age of the Aquarian justice, right? Which says, you have the option to maybe bring justice or bring certain things up, or stop at something and be like, hey, this was unfair for me. And the reason you're also getting this is because you said, you know what? The universe exists. And what I think I know is going on, based on what I'm being shown by somebody and how they've done me wrong, they may be doing me wrong even worse. So you know what? Let me not even just confront them on the one thing that I'm seeing, because think about all the shit I'm not seeing that God is seeing. So let God tell us and not by tell us, like, by what we attract. I mean, if you're putting in harm for other people, that's what you're going to get back. That's what this person's having. And most of the time it's hurt people hurting people. So again, it's not most of the time, it's hurt people hurting people. If you're in the hurt vibration, that's where you're really at. You're hurt. So, because that's what you're about to get back. And so when we're talking about just, like, really seeing the truth of things, like, we really with these eyes can't see anything. So we're also evolving the context and the conversation about justice, because there is no faith that When in your life has anything that you've ever done have you not had to pay for? Let's be honest. We can talk and tell a narrative of like, I got away with this. You never get away with anything. There's nothing to get away with. You just are what you are. It is what it is. And that's exactly what's being said is like, you also mastered in this time. Your justice is going to feel like 10 Pentacles to you because you knew that if someone's hurting you, it's not even for me to personalize or for me to go through some emotional spike with or to be affected by, because it is just what it is. If someone that you thought was one way when you didn't really know them turns out to be someone who's capable of like hurting you repeatedly because they're just like what cycle they're on. If that's what it is just what it is. So the justice there is for you. Give yourself justice. Is justice hurting someone else or making sure they get hurt just as bad as they hurt you? No, not really, because you're sitting around like watching them get hurt. And I'm not saying that there isn't some like third dimensional like but you can also give yourself the justice as in just like going and getting the thing that you need, right? And for us in this situation, it was the 10 Pentacles is saying, yeah, I hear you and they've done a lot to me and I guarantee you they're fucking miserable. I'm not fucking miserable, however, and I really would just, my life would be a lot better with 10 Pentacles right now, with the resources I need that I've already earned so that I can go out and fucking make my life exactly what I need it to be happy and not have to beg the universe for so much. And I have to always make a series about how much I'm needing from the universe as I'm coming into balance. Because once I come into balance, then it's my job to maintain the balance. And I am very confident, my husband is very confident that through this journey, because we've gone through this journey together, right? We've both been learning and growing on this journey as well. I'm not going to ask you to join a community that I'm not in. So I'm watching these videos back and as they apply to my life and I'm really healing, giving myself and carving out the time to process things. So I know that, oh my God, and look at this new beginning. Look at this leap of faith. This is also the same energy here. God is telling you, you have victory, so just fucking throw it up. But this is also where you can blindly step forward and blindly meaning like, we don't even really need to see anything else. I'm also getting a channel message that's like, we don't really need to see anything else. You might be surprised that someone just blindly took a shot on you. Like you might be really used to the age of Pisces because they were so illusioned. People be like, what are you really about? Like, it was hard to get to the core of what people were really about. So feeling like someone just kind of took a leap of faith on you, they didn't really need to know anything else, didn't need to know anymore. Just knowing that there are real companies and real organizations that really did hire you, that you really did work for, or that you've really had certain experiences and extracted certain wisdom based on that. Like someone is able to say, yeah, no, that's more than enough grounds for us to just start a journey with you. That might be very surprising as well. That might be very surprising to some of you. And that's just the wounded. So that's what I'm also saying about this. Oh my God. Exactly. Because as soon as the 10 Pentacles come in from that justice, that feeling of like you're getting back your weight in gold, you are like, like we're fucking we're blazing ahead. We're blazing ahead. Because you're right now thinking, oh my God, look at this wood plank on my legs. I can't get up and I could cry about it. Or you could forge ahead because the reality is you're getting back your weight in gold. You've already been revealed what's going to happen. Like, it's not even a thing that I'm like not being present right now. Like God is just really right now revealing to me what's about to happen. These doors are about to close. I hope you've been prepared for that. That's okay. Don't be upset. Start really putting your energy and funneling it towards this or that, blah, 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 blah. So I already actually really know what's coming next. It's a very clear time. It's not like you're guessing because the universe's stroke and move at this time is it's composite from all the work you've done. So the reason that I'm seeing certain visions is because it's welling up from the things that I've actually done in my life. So then there's less of a guessing. So this is where that 8 of Swords, where it's like, oh my God, it's stormy and I'm stuck and I'm whatever. When the reality is you're like the boat is docking. You know what I mean? The reality here is that like you are truly like blasting ahead. You made it to your castle. And look, there's nobody else on your boat. Like you're arriving at your castle in your kingdom on your private gondola. And all those passengers that were there, they're not going to where you're going. They're not going where you're going. So maybe some of them are back here, chained up. Some of them maybe were taken prisoner. Because if they were committing war crimes where we were all in a shared boat, like trying to find like refuge, you know what I mean? Like, don't be mad when some people, as soon as they got like locked up, I'm hearing. Yep. And I'm going to just give it to you. The 10 of Cups, bro. Look at this. Look at the sky. I hope y'all heard those birds activating. Like, getting here and arriving here, and the actual crew that it was, the people that stayed on your boat, like, because like as you were dropping people off, like some people got dropped off to the prison because y'all need to pay for the crimes you were doing on this boat. Some of y'all got dropped off over here back, you know, some of y'all are on another boat going back to the old world because y'all wanted to do that. But for the people that were on your boat that were really there, like, you're gonna look up at the angels and be like, for fucking sure, that's the higher self. That's the, you've really manifested that. You've really come into this opportunity where the horizon's always bright. Like I was telling Dennis last night, this summer for me, I'm so fucking excited for. I'm so excited to be where I'm from and live in the summer. It's like one of the first summers where I feel like I'm really prepared. And I'm going to be free to do what I want to be doing in Divine Masculine season, which is connecting, like rejoicing and being in devotion to nature and the divine and just be in joy, you know? And when I saw the fucking sky last night, I just knew what I had manifested, you know? I just knew somehow who I was. I knew that I was actually the magician on the boat. I was the one who was focused on what worlds I could create and pull up to by the time the boat docked. Did I not just say year 7 is the 7 of Pentacles, is where you get it back? Me and my fiance are approaching our 7th, entering into our 7th year and really finishing our 6th year. And so I'm so excited because the 2 of Cups coming out with the 7 of Pentacles really speaks to this relationship, this union. You were building up the work for it over time. Again, this is talking about, like, you might have thought it was heavy lifting and that carrying each of these barrels might have felt like individually like different experiences, or one was heavier than the other or whatever, or you might thought it was really disconnected or useless work. But the reality is you get the offer and you come into union, you marry new friends, new soul tribe, new jobs, new communities. Like, I mean, jobs are also going to be soul tribe, you know what I mean? Like, I think we all are aware of that, right? But this new role you're getting brings you into union with something else, another party. And you're going to realize the things that you're coming into union with right now all have the proof in the pudding, all have the work. And maybe because, and some of it's new people, right? It's new people that you didn't know. Like, if I get a new job or something, it's like, it would be new people I didn't know. But what I would find out is that, like, oh my God, all my experience is parallel and is perfect to bring me into union with these people. Even if my experience was separate from them and I didn't even consciously know who these people were until I literally would go on and meet them. Same thing goes for new friendships, right? Like, you might have realized that, like, and look at it's forging ahead, coming out on top, the things that make it, the things that are still standing, the things that are ready to go. Because winning the Fool right now, Aries energy is not fun if you're not trying to do work. Like, Aries is cardinal, which means it wants to get started. But what are we getting started? It's not just I want to arrive and do nothing. Like, some of y'all really want to be rich or famous or do this, but you don't actually want to work or do anything. So it's like, why you don't really want those things? Because if that was to actually manifest, which it would, because the answer is yes in this universe, how is that going to feel? Because the work is draining you, or the work is killing you. So that's a side message, right? Like, those of you standing up and saying yes to partnerships, you're acknowledging you're at the beginning phase. You're acknowledging that we're going to have to build something together, which is going to take energy in order for us to get at the 7 pentacles, or the 10 pentacles from the 7, right? But this is that gush of Aries that pushes you into the direction of exactly what it is for you, into those partnerships, into those unions, because of the role you inherit. Like, I also see that this role you inherit brings you into union with people. Like, you weren't able to come into union with people because you know you weren't playing that role yet externally. Like, you might have felt it internally, so you start mingling, you start thinking about it. But now that you really are that role internally, externally, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. Is there a final message, Spirit? I feel like oh my God. It's a done deal, and the final message is the Empress, which is what we started this on, which is talking about who you are. You are the Empress within. And so guess what? Guess what, bro? You were, like, the 5 of Pentacles is like, you weren't getting, this is what I was talking about, like, real shit, like when Saturn was in Aquarius for me. It was the type of thing where this channel could be birthed, right? The pressure on my neck, which is I'm not getting a community resource. My identity, my past, my reputation couldn't get me shit. I had to go back when Saturn went into Aquarius for 3 years and fucking put in the work to make my reputation mean something. Because the thing is, when we come from the old world to the new world, like, some of us were born here to be guides for this new paradigm, right? Which is, I would definitely say, like, my generation, like what I'm in right now. However, there was a karmic aspect of me because I was born still in this age of Pisces and these old world principles. So everybody had to have a death and rebirth. So even though my whole life I've been this way, I've always given public addresses, I've always, like, if you knew who I really was personally, this is not far off. However, to go from low vibrational to high vibrational to non-ascended to ascended, I really then have to go back and give value to all the things that I was, even when the world was much more unconscious and I was much more unconscious. So this was that process of becoming, being the Empress, but you had to go through the sticks to do it. You had to believe that Five of Pentacles, your luck can change if you don't take no for an answer. You don't take, like, okay, we don't have these resources, but what can we make steps in? How can we band together and fucking lead one another with what we have to fucking make a change in the financial situation, in the stability, right? Because we want to be stable in this new world. That's just what you want to be. You just want to be stable in this new world. And by stable, I would define that as not desiring anything from the universe. I believe that we can all reach a homeostasis that says, on the day-to-day, the only thing I really need to throw up to God is praise. I don't even want to have to be like, oh my God, this is not working out. This is not how I want it. I believe that I'm very close to reaching, like, there's something that I've identified so clearly that will allow me to reach a place where, like, when I'm dealing with God, like, I really, because the idea is that God doesn't want a million of these humans that have overpopulated to fucking be so needy because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. The idea of this journey is to be a self-sufficient, independent spiritual guide for yourself. That is what I'm trying to make cool in this new age of the Aquarian. That's what I know I'm really, like, a pilgrim for in this new millennia, right? In the 2000s, you know what I mean? Like, I was born right at the beginning of this, and right at the end of the last year, and I'm living out my, like, life through the beginning of this. And so what I'm really giving is, like, yo, it's really cool to befriend your inner voice. It's really fucking cool to carve out this time for yourself, whether you watch these videos or not, or whether you get inspired by seeing, like, how, for me, the hypothesis that I told you at the beginning of this video that I didn't know if I could conclude or prove is being proven now, right? Because my inner voice is it guided me through some crazy shit, some shit that, like, when all the doors were closed and it was like, no doors are going to open, how do you go forward? What do you do? Like, you still got to be stable. You still have to answer for yourself. You're still alive and breathing, so you got to fucking do something. And that journey is responsible for how you cultivated your whole empire. You cultivated a whole empire with nothing. That's huge, because when you inherit an empire's worth of value back, when you didn't actually put any money down, you just make a profit. That's what the final message here is. Like, you built a whole world and you didn't even put any physical, you didn't have anything, right? This is the Five of Pentacles. This is when you literally have nothing. So how are you going to create stability? How are you going to generate stability? You are locked out of your abundance. So how do you generate? And it's so pivotal, because if you are to cultivate and be able to maintain a 10 of Pentacles or a castle or anything of the Pentacle suit, or even an empire as an emperor or an empress, right? You have to also be prepared for those times when it's a dry spell. What happens when the cycle is dry and you're not getting what you maybe are used to, accustomed to getting? You should be able to be a creator no matter what. And that's what the 5 suit really says. That's what my 5th house North Node really says. If I really am the star, I should be able to shine no matter the conditions. And I'm so grateful to have this documented archive of videos that really proves that. That really proves that, like, I was living in apocalyptic times. I had nothing to hide. I'm literally in usually like a t-shirt and shorts and absolutely nothing done to my face. Like, usually it's just off the cuff. Like, I am just to myself, and I didn't have anything when I made this. And to receive an empire's worth of valuables, literal stuff back. Whether that be partnerships, literal investments, literal roles, literal money. Like, I mean, I'm getting an entire world back to me. And that was the trick. That's what I was trying to put people onto, is that, like, you can actually find a way to inherit new earth without even having to use money or collateral or sacrifices in those ways. But really working with your true eternal value. That's what we were working with. We were working with a different type of currency, because there is a value in my soul. Even if I had no dollars to my name at different points in this time, there was a value in my soul, and I had to deeply dig and tap into that and ascend my insecurities to really be secure in myself, to see that the 5 of Pentacles is a completely workable space. It's a completely workable space to be able to someday eventually arrive at being an empress, which means I can take care of and run everything that is given to me. And that is the fucking message of the day. I think we'll finish with just one crystal resonance card. This is like probably one of my best messages ever. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, this has been amazing. And we're just gonna pull a final overarching crystal that's gonna take us. I mean, this is a beautiful spread. Beautiful spread. Bottom of the deck, the Five of Pentacles, where you somehow found a way to stabilize an abundant feeling, generate an abundant feeling to bring yourself to riches in love, romance, relationships, in your karma. Your karma is rich, your dharma is rich, your emotional fulfillment is rich, your partnerships are rich and have already got so much work and so much time put into them. I'm hearing you are already celebrating, you are already seen as successful and victorious, like in what you've already done, even if you felt like you were just juggling some shit. Like you have plenty of energy to forge ahead alone. Like it's a really holistic way to be, and I'm really proud of you if you're fucking here at the end of this journey, like fucking turned up, because I'm turned up right now from this reading. So thank you, Spirit, for the final message. Okay. So we got spontaneity, leadership, and love. I'm gonna just give you the off the top download. You continued to embody, this is what this Aries, it's like double Aries plunging you into Cancer season love. It's the type of thing where it's like, I said Cancer season, what the fuck am I talking about? Taurus season. But I was thinking about the water here, but it's like this Aries fire is about to, how can I say, like, you understood that there's spontaneity in life, that you can really make things happen, that like you can shake up something to make something happen. You also understood and focused on your leadership during this process. Like you were making sure these three things: that I remain spontaneous, that I don't get stuck in anything, that I remember that this isn't permanent while I'm on this boat with all this past karma, with all these old people, with all these old friends, with things that I've already learned and accomplished. Like it was about remaining in the truth of, like, if you've already learned something, the whole way that you could get caught up is if you keep telling the universe, oh, I guess I haven't learned this because this is back in, and the universe is like, no, you guys are on a boat together, and you're like, no, I don't know, they're back in my life, I guess I got to make them my life. You didn't do that. You continue to also be a leader while you were on the boat. Meaning you really fucking followed, you were the source. You got your shit straight from the source, and that's what makes someone a leader. That's literally the only definition of leader. Someone who gets their information from source. They're the only ones who can lead. And then you also cultivated a love. This really, because it's a lot of fire. It's a lot of like burning hot passion, wands, magic happening. But there's also this huge love that you were also garnering, and that you knew that in times when people wanted to gaslight you in this Five of Pentacles base energy that we were in, feeling like, how are we gonna shake some shit loose with nothing? The love that you cultivated was also extremely responsible for the joy and the happiness that you were able to reset in, and the spontaneity you were always able to embark on, and the leadership that you were always able to follow, because you had a really real source. And so I'm so proud of all of you. I don't even have to read those definitions. I'm so proud of everyone. I'm proud of myself. I just wanted to upload this video because it was coming at me like lava cakes, and I just had a really great productive day that I'm about to go into. So I really just wanted to be positive for myself. So thank you guys for listening. And yeah, congratulations. Hopefully I can share some of the really, like, I'll probably share some of the really big snippets of things that are coming for me. Just so we can also get like the joy of like what comes at the ends of all of this. Cause I'm prophesying some big shit here. So I'm sure I'll have some beautiful things to show for it, but thank you all. Be blessed. So much love.